Hi, it's Diana. I know it's been a while, but I've been going through a lot of medication changes. And so, and then I'm just so glad the holiday activities are all over with. Now we're starting up with all the birthdays. We got so many birthdays that's in the next 3 months. My daughter and um, had her birthday in February. And then I've got my in March, I've got a grandson and my son's birthday. In April, I have my husband's, my son's, and my daughter-in-law's birthday. And then later in the year, and then I got in July is my eldest grandson's birthday, and then I got my granddaughter's birthday in December. So it's late ones. We usually kind of her being a little bitty girl, she sure gets some of the greatest gifts. But with me, I get great gifts from my kids, and birthday wishes. It's always good. It's always good. So this week is my granddaughter's 13th birthday. Yeah, this is the greatest thing. Mm. And then, let's see. Oh, and I can't get out of bed today. I had injections of steroids put in both sides of I think it's the SI joint, the big plate of a joint bone that you have on the back, right below your lumbar. And then you got the tailbone come out from underneath it.
She wanting you up there.
And yeah, better put her biscuit up here too.
Okay. Okay, what's up?
Where?
Betsy, you're more stiff and pepper.
Oh, can't see you. Can't flip it. I can't flip it when this thing, so I have to turn around the whole thing. But anyway, I feel like I'm pinching my nerves in the back there, and so I'm taking a day off and staying in bed today. I can just barely lift anything up to 3 pounds, and if I did, and I think it was because I carried the cake from the bread store the other day, and it's a big cake, but it was just too much for me, and it really pulled on my back. I think I pinched everything or something. Anyway, I'm still swollen because I had steroids put on the back on each one of those nerves that runs. There's like 5 or 6 of them that runs. That okay, there's the plate. This one's the plate. I'm holding the phone with the other hand. But the nerves comes out like this of your plate. So he had to go from the top above that plate and then go down and then on one side and inject the steroids all the way up on that one side to hit those nerves. And then he did the other side and went all the way down. And I tell you, that needle hurt. That needle was about that long. It had to be because it had to shoot a cat gut in there, and that way they can. And it's a paste, so it don't go down. And I was still swollen. So it's only been about a week and a half since this happened, and I got the shakes. I'm sorry, but I do have the shakes. And but yeah, I'm all swelled up back there, and I'm so sore. Like I haven't hurt this much since I had my daughter. She was 9 pounds, 9 ounces, 22 inches long. And she was at basketball. So I'm carrying, right after her birth, and I'm carrying her, and I put her on my bed. My iron frame bed sets up higher than normal beds, those old fashioned iron frame beds. Yeah, that's what I got. That's my first bed I got since I got my divorce from the first marriage. It was my first piece of furniture. And I bought that iron frame bed knowing that it must have been at least 100 years old with the metal box springs. But the box springs eventually broke and worked its way up through my mattress. So I had to get rid of the mattress and that and get new box springs. Well, I got that in the other room, but I went to put it stands up pretty high. It stands up like 2.5 feet up off the floor. So that all I have to do is just slide off because I have 34-inch inseams. And so it's easier for me just to turn around and just step right off the bed like that instead of having to raise myself up because these legs don't work after you get so far. You get so far down. You go, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to sit down. And then it's timber. I got my hair cut because I keep grabbing my hair, and now I'm grabbing my hair up here. But it gave me the worst mohawk, and I mean, I had not the mohawk. I had a rooster's crown that would stick way up because I sleep on my sides. I sleep in a fetal position on my sides, so my hair would lay up this way, and it naturally wants to go up this way and so I had to cut it, and then now it's still, but it's like a little mohawk, and I have in order to comb it down, keep that stuff down, right here. See, I got a little pin here because I got a cowlick right here that swirls my hair upwards. So I have to. It's short because it's short like this on the side, So it wants to go back. It wants to go this way, but curl out that way. My bangs, never had bangs when I was a kid because this here would curl out this way. So I would have a hair curling out this way. And I'm not natural curly. But this side don't have any cowlicks that I know of. But this one my son inherited, my oldest boy inherited this one. I have pictures of him with his hair flying up this way. And then I got this cowlick right here that swooshes my hair up this way. Then I got two of them in the back, and they both go in different directions. So I was like, it's a mess when it gets, My niece has inherited her cowlicks too. And when she was a baby, she would get the natural mohawk because both of her cowlicks was on the sides of her head, and they would come up in her front, right at the top of her head. But mine did the same thing. And what my mom did, what they didn't do they put a little, tied it off and put a little bow up there for her. Mom didn't do that for me. She took it and she took her fingers and made a curl. She would make it a big curl going on up there because these curls would go that direction anyway, but they would swish over this way before they go that way. So she'd make the curl going this way. And I had this big curl. I have these curls on the side of my head, and then I have this big curl that is on the top of this big curl on the top of my head, and that's what Mom did. And I had blonde hair, really blonde hair when I was a little girl. Donald had brownish blonde hair when he was a little boy, and we had the same two parents, and but I took after my dad, and I have the blue eyes and the really blonde hair. And Dad, before he turned gray, was blonde all the way. He never changed. His hair color it was always naturally blonde. His brother was totally opposite. His brother had a darker complexion, had dark brunette hair, is what it's called, brunette. And then he had brown eyes, and it was like daylight and dark. There was actually three brothers. There was a brother in between them, and he was Benny. And Benny died about from diphtheria or something like that back in the day when he was only 18 months old. But he was born about 3 years or so prior to my dad. My dad was like 13 years younger than my uncle, JP, and his name was James Pickard. I think it's Pickard Moats. My dad's name was Raymond Lee Moats, and they were from Alabama, Selma, Alabama. And the weirdest was thinking, okay, see, you know I got ADHD, so I can lose my train of thought. My grandma on my dad's side and my grandpa on my mom's side. Well, my grandparents lived in Alabama, Selma, Alabama. My mom and and my mom's parents always been up here in Kansas City and Kansas, or Shawnee, Kansas. And so they never really met. They never met until the divorce, I guess. But my grandpa on my mom's side and my grandpa's brother and my grandma on my dad's side in Alabama were born on Christmas Day. My grandpa and my grandma were born on the same day, same year. My Uncle Sam was born 3 years prior to my grandpa's birth. Yeah, we got all these Christmas babies going on. And a lot of relatives were born, in the Christmas time. Around the Christmas time, we got to remember, the pheromones get out in spring, the babies are born in winter. Oh, yeah, springtime pregnancies. But not me. I had my babies in the spring, so I got pregnant in the summertime. I was sick the whole 9 months with the 2 boys. Yeah, I didn't know the second one's a twin. Now, Bobby was the second one born, and the oldest one, I didn't know I was having twins at the time, but he didn't make it. He was 5 months old, and apparently they shared everything inside of me, like a Momo baby, with everything's in the same. And Bobby was the stronger of the 2, and he got all the nutrition and everything. After a certain point, one of them will dominate the other, and which one's the stronger would dominate. And so Bobby was the domineer one. He did have difficulties when he was born. He had not only did a great big somersault in my tummy, and he tied a knot he did a somersault, went through the loop and tied a knot in his cord. And then when he was given birth, I had to stop in the middle with his head popped out. I had to stop. So they kind of wrapped that cord. It was around his neck 3 times. I think his other was getting upset because he was taking all the nutrition and says, I'll get you. But Bob's a strong one. He takes after mom and dad. Yeah, we're so proud of all the kids. My Tommy, now I went to the hospital, and I was in the hospital for 6 weeks with him. That was before he was born. I went through Thanksgiving and Christmas in the hospital in 1972. I had a bad infection, and I lived right across the street from Bethany on the 3rd floor. I was so sick, and we walked across the street to the emergency room. And the moment I peed in the cup, they had me into the emergency room. They were all over me. And what had happened, and I'm going to tell you that I had a kidney infection. And I went to the clinic where I always went because it was a free clinic, in Wyandotte. It's right off of 7th and Central. And it was a family clinic, so I went there. And the nurses took my urine, and they joked about it. They go, oh, look. No, it was close. This should have been done at 4th of July, is how they said it. This should have been done at 4th of July because it was all red. Now, I went into that clinic with bleeding in my kidneys, and they just joked about it. And then I went into the doctor's in the examination room, and I told that doctor my back is hurting so bad back there on one side. It was hurting so bad. And he took, without me knowing it, he took both of his fists and he hit me right there, and he gave me a kidney punch. And next thing you know it, I was dizzy. I was hitting the walls. I was I wasn't doing well at all. So they had to help guide me. And I'm big pregnant because, you know, I was having the baby in the spring. I had my April baby, and they were going to give me an abortion. But it was because my fever, I got up, my fever went up to 106, and I was totally delusional. I was out of it. I really was. I was watching TV and with mom, and while I'm in the hospital, and I'm just flipping to the channels waiting for a show to come on because it's Tuesday. I thought I fell asleep listening to mom talk. And I go, oh shit. I snapped out of it, and I was talking to mom, and I didn't remember what I was saying. I go, oh, I'm talking to mom in my sleep. I've done it before. Us girls would be all born, we three girls was raised in the same room, bedroom, and we'd make conversations in our sleep. Yeah, we did that. We talked in our sleep. I walked in my sleep. That was really bad. I would go in, well, I was just a little girl, and I lived at 2900 West 44th Avenue. And that was a little bitty house, but it was big to us because we were little bitty kids. And it was a horrible situation with my stepdad and my mom. And I found myself one night in the middle of the backyard. And I don't know how I got there, but all I can think of is praying out in my mind, please don't let that door be locked. And it wasn't. And I snuck back into the house, and I never told anyone that I walked out in the middle of, and I found myself in the middle of the backyard. Oh yeah, it was bad. And my little brother Martin, when I was younger, I was about 16 at the time, and my little brother went a few years prior. He's a mean little shit. He's one of those that try to get my attention, so he'd hit and run, you see, because he loved being chased, and he was just trying to get my attention. And so I finally caught up with him, and I pinned him on the ground in the backyard. I was only about 14 at the time, and I pinned him down on the backyard, and that little piece of shit was just saying every dirty word in the book. And what I did, I pulled the grass up by the roots, and I says, dirty words, huh? And I shoved the roots down in his mouth. Oh, you see, we weren't managed when we were children. We wouldn't, if good parents would not allow being another child hit another, but we were raised to go outside and let the stink blow off you and come back in when the street lights came back on. We were so unsupervised, so we got into a lot of shit when nobody ever, we never told anybody, because if we did anything outside the house, we explored. We did more exploring than it's like, wow, this is really cool. Let's go check it out, So, drainage ditches, we don't go in the little hole. We got the big ones, you'll see probably going. And then we'll see that it ends up, and then come back out. And we walked from 44th Avenue, not 44th Avenue, we walked from 47th and 49th and Rainbow, because we lived at the second house from the corner there, and that was another bad place. So, but that's where we lived, and we walked from there all the way to the plaza. We go through Westwood Hills, and we go, we explore the back side of the houses, because they had a brook, And to me, that was so calming, is to see the brook. And with the miserable life I had, all that was, you don't know how satisfying little things like that. It's just so relaxing that you don't. It takes your mind completely off your troubles. And all of us kids would go down that brook, and just checking it out. And then we would go to walk to the plaza, and that that river or the creek or whatever they got, Brush Creek, that goes through there. Well, that would just be a trinkle, and we just walk right across it. I mean, it was just a hop, hop. We can just do this back and forth kind of thing. And then there's times that you'll see that it's all filled with water, and you go, oh, I used to jump over this brook, that little creek that went across there. My teeth are really yellow because I drink my coffee, my mug of coffee. I have to, because I need a jump start in the morning. And if I don't get out and about. And today I can't get out and about. But anyways, I want to show you something. Looky what I got. My husband got me some new shoes. See? And these are what I wear around the house. And they're the pop-on shoes. They're the best thing. They're narrow, a size 11. Yes, they don't make 10s and a half in women's, but these women's in size 11 they're tighter fitting. I got narrow heels. I'm not wearing my braces with these things, but my husband, he tried to take my tag off. I said, no way, baby. I've been tagged. And I'm going to show you. Look what I got. I got these socks. Aren't they the coolest things? I got these support socks over there at the what I call the bread store, is the food pantry at Shawnee Food Pantry. It's a community center. Yeah, right off 67th Street. And I got those for $3 a piece. And so these are diabetic support socks. This one's got the butterflies. I got ones with doggies on it. And then I got one that's all white. And they're perfect. I got the extra large because of the foot size, but it's just getting the extra large is not going to allow my swelling above my knee, because these goes all the way over my knees, but I fold them downwards. But if you get too tight, what's the use of having the swelling, preventing this edema on your ankles versus your knee swelling up from like a rubber band being put around your leg. She's barking at the trash man. I know, baby. You're a good dog. That's Bessie. She looked like a little cow when we adopted her on that thing. But I'm talking a lot, and I do. I want to show you. Even though I'm bedridden right now, I wanted to show you like what we did. Okay, I'm going to show you how to turn this thing around because I don't know how to flip it. Alrighty, here we go. See, look. Can you see? Okay. I'll turn this on. I got flip it. There we go. Let's see. There we go. Look at that. You see that? That's a 60 something inch, 65 inch, I think, TV set. I had the 40 something inch in here, and this one in the dining room area, so that if you're not watching football in the other room and we have guests, they can go to the dining room area where we got the fireplace and everything. It's not a dining room. I call it the dining room because, I would set up my tables if I was going to serve anything there. But I moved it to my bedroom and then I set it up on boxes underneath the tablecloth to get it to rise up high enough so that my feet and Pepper won't be in the way of the TV set. But I just wanted and give a shout out to my granddaughter. Her birthday's today, and she's 13 years old. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Coraline. Happy birthday to you. Love y'all. Have a great time.